All right. Welcome back. We got a little bit of shaking happening here today, so pardon my shaking that's going on, if you can see. All right. So we've covered scientific notation and just the basics and a few examples. I suggest you practice, and it'll become much, much easier. So let's get back in answering, organizing the information and things needed to know in order to answer the question, right? So in order to answer the question, what are the maximum number of doggy hairs that could fit on a microscope side by side without overlapping? If the microscope is 50 millimeters wide. So if you remember, the diameter of the doggy hair was in meters, right? I think it was 3.5 times 10 to the negative 5 meters. And here we're looking at 50 millimeters wide is the microscope. So we need to, in order to figure this out, we've got to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, right? So we're going to convert 50 millimeters into meters. I'll go over that in just a moment. Now, the way we're going to answer the problem is in scientific notation, written in scientific notation, we're going to put the microscope width in meters, and then we're going to divide by the doggy hair diameter in meters, and both of those values will be written in scientific notation. So let's just boogie on to it. We're going to boot, scoot, boogie down here, and we'll take a look at how to convert. All right. So essentially, we're going to set up what's called a cross product, right? And I'll get into that in a moment where we'll just be cross multiplying. But first, you have to do a little bit of conversion in order to answer this question. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, for those who struggle in math, this may be a question where you want to use that test taking strategy and maybe save it for later to try to work on later if you have time. And again, another test taking strategy is to do the problems that you know how to do first. Then come back to the problems that you think you might be able to answer correctly and have time to work on. And then finally, before you end the exam, you should guess. Never leave any question unanswered while you're taking these standardized assessments or exams. The key part is to organize. All right, so let's go ahead and do the conversion, right? So we want to convert the microscope millimeters, say that 5 times fast. I want to convert the microscope millimeters into meters, right? And I believe you're given a conversion rate document for this exam. You're not required to memorize all the conversions, and it should show you that excuse me, since 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter, and the microscope is 50 millimeters wide. So we got 1,000 meters is equal to 1 meter. That's called a unit rate. We have 50 millimeters over X. I don't know what that conversion is going to be yet, right? So I've got 50 millimeters over X number of meters equal to 1,000 millimeters over 1 meter, right? Because 1,000 millimeters equals 1 milli. Let's take a look at that. Geez, that sounds complicated, but let's take a look. So we're setting up our cross product. And so I wanted to show you here. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay. Showing you a little too much. But anyhow. Now, 50 millimeters is equal to 1,000 meters. And X meters, we don't know what that conversion is yet, right? The 50 millimeters to certain value of meters is equal to 1 meter, right? 1,000 millimeters to 1 meter. We know we have 50 millimeter microscope, right? So this is setting up our conversion rate, what's called a unit rate, all right? 1,000 millimeters to 1 meter. So we put the meters that we know of on top, because the millimeters are on top over here, the fraction. Set them equal to each other. And the unknown meter goes underneath the microscope, 50 millimeter. Now what we're going to do is cross multiply. 1,000 times x, 500 times 1. And let me show that to you now. And here I'm putting an invisible one. If you're not familiar with invisible ones, check out my video on invisible ones. I go pretty in depth. There's an invisible one in front of that x, in the exponent's place, in the denominator's place. But you can do that on your own time. Right now, I'm just going to show the invisible one in the front. So again, 1 times 1,000. I'm showing you right here. 50 times 1. It's called cross product. Check it out. I mentioned it in that part 1 video. So we have here 50 times 1 is 50. 1x times 1,000, or 1,000 times 1 is 1,000x. Now I want to solve for x, get x all by itself. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide. What I do to one side of the equation, I got to do to the other side. So 1,000 divided by 1,000 is that 1x. 50 divided by 1,000, I'm showing you here. Another way to write that, because we're going to be working with decimals, because that's what scientific notation does. It works with numbers between 1.0 and 9.9. We're going to be working with decimals. We want to convert this fraction into a decimal. So another way to write that is 50 divided by 100. And we're going to continue chugging away at this problem. We're just organizing. This was the part 5 video going over and showing you how to convert millimeters into meters, because that's what the diameter of those dog hairs are, meters. So we had to convert first. I'm going to continue in the next part video or videos and showing you how to convert, take this ratio, convert it into a decimal, convert it into scientific notation, and then how to divide the scientific notation divided by scientific notation in order to answer this particular question. And remember, this is the ratio we want to end up with. Microscope width in meters divided by doggy hair diameter in meters in scientific notation. And then we will get there in the next video or two. Thank you for joining me. This is a monster of a problem, and I'm teaching it as if you know absolutely nothing on how to solve it. So this would be a very difficult problem on that assessment, but if you follow these steps, you practice these skills, it will become easy. Thank you for joining me. Math is easy. Take it step by step.